I think that a lot of times when people are poly or non-monogamous, like they do get wrapped up in like that feeling of like they need to be dating people or otherwise like they're invalid somehow. like I need to be dating people, or I need to be looking for people or whatever. But I think that there's not enough about like, yeah, trying to just be okay.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 392. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have a wonderful conversation with Princess. She was last on the podcast a little over a year and a half ago on episode 322 with her partner Dee Dee. Today, she comes on by herself to share more of her background and journey navigating relationships and her own growth.
Yeah, super exciting to have Princess back on today, and a super fun conversation. As most people get into non-monogamy by answering ads on Craigslist to be, to be a naked receptionist at a nudist resort and swinger resort. That's how we got into it. So definitely more that we talk about than just that today, but super fun conversation. And then Princess dives into just all of the ways that she's grown over the last almost 15 years of navigating non-monogamy, things she's learned about herself, navigating jealousy, insecurity, setting boundaries. Just a wonderful conversation. So thank you, Princess, for coming on the podcast again, for sharing your story, and we're just really excited to get it out there.
For anyone who's a premium subscriber, we'll jump right into the interview with Princess now. And for anyone else, we are going to go through a few announcements. First up, if you're not familiar with our premium subscription, it's a way to skip these announcements up front and jump right into the interview. But don't worry, we still share important dates of upcoming events in the outro. To sign up for the premium subscription, go over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, scroll down on the homepage, and you can sign up for as little as $4 a month.
And while you're on our homepage, scroll right back up to the tip top, and you will find a tab there for our community. We'd love to have you check out our community. We tell you about it every week. It's full of over 300 people from around the country, from around the world, actually, who come together to socialize and support one another. We host our community on an app called Mighty Networks, and we also have monthly virtual community calls. We have a men's group, we have a women's group, and we've also started offering virtual workshops every month. We actually just had one last week, which was called Befriending Jealousy, and that was hosted by Jolie Hamilton. So it was an incredible workshop, and we've got one coming up next month, which is called Releasing the Fear of Abandonment, a Somatic Approach, and that's going to be hosted by Orit Krug, who was actually on episodes 309 and 378. And we tell you all of this because we would love to have you join the community. You can join these workshops for free. You can see the recordings from past workshops and join future ones. So please check it out. We would love to have you join us. And we also, if you're like, I'm tired of the virtual stuff, we got you covered.
We do some in-person gatherings as well for our community about twice a year. Our next in-person gathering is going to be October 3rd to the 5th in the San Francisco Bay Area. Again, more information on our website on the community tab, where you'll find a link to the program guide for the San Francisco Bay Area retreat, where it lists everything happening for the weekend. And on that webpage, you can find links to all of the workshops that we're hosting in our community as well.
Yep. And if you don't want to wait until October to get together in person with us and some people from our community, we are actually going to be at two other events, one in May and one in June. They're not specifically for our community, but we're going to be there, and they're with two other incredible communities. The first one is the Bonobo Retreat. That's coming up May 23rd to the 26th, and that's in Northern California. We talked about the retreat on episode 386 with Danny, if you want to go listen to that and learn a little bit more about it, or you can go to the links in the podcast show notes and you can learn all about the Bonobo Retreat. We're going to be running a workshop there. It's going to be great, and we're super looking forward to it. And the other one we're going to be at is in June. That'll be June 12th to the 15th. We'll be at Soul Play, also in Northern California. And if you go have a listen to episode 387 with Holly, you can learn more about Soul Play. And we'll be running 2 workshops at that retreat. So we would love to have you come join us. Again, that's May 23rd to the 26th and June 13th to the June 12th to the 15th, all in Northern California. Again, we know it's not necessarily easily accessible to everybody around the country, but if you happen to be in the area or you're looking for a great little escape, we'd love to have you come join us.
We also wanted to share with all of you a couple of events we have coming up this week. Tomorrow, May 15th, we're going to have in-person speed friending event in Berkeley, California. If you're in this area, we'd love to have you come join us. Links are in the podcast show notes for more information. And Friday, May 16th, we have our virtual speed friending where we can all gather on Zoom. You can join from anywhere. We would love to have you join us for that event as well. Again, links to sign up are on our events tab of our website.
Yeah, please check out the show notes and check out our events tab. This is where you'll find links to all of the different places we're going to be the next few months and all the different ways you can get involved. So you should have no excuses for being alone over the next couple of weeks. We got you covered both virtually and in person.
And finally, we wanted to remind all of you about our favorite way to get tested for STIs. It is a service that Finn and I use. It is called stdcheck.com. You hear us talk about it all the time. It is a fast and discreet way to get tested for STIs. Using the links on the resources tab saves $10, making a 10-panel test only $129, and you support the podcast. So thank you in advance for using those links.
And one final thing we want to tell you all, please send us an email, send us a voicemail. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question, maybe you have some feedback, or maybe just like Princess, you want to come on the podcast to share your story. We would absolutely love to have you come on the show. This show actually doesn't exist without you and without people like Princess who are just everyday people who want to share their story and want to help everybody else feel a little bit less alone in the world. So please reach out to us. Come on, share your story. We will make it happen.
And with that, let's go and talk with Princess. Welcome back to the podcast, Princess. We're excited to dive in and talk a little bit more about your individual story today. You were previously on the podcast a little over a year ago, back on episode 322, which I did have to look up and remind myself of the number. But welcome back. I'm so glad you're here today.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't gone back and listened to that one, that was a lot more about your dynamic with your partner, Dee Dee, and sort of what the sort of DDLG or daddy dom little girl dynamic is like for you two, plus a bit more about your partnership for sure. But we're excited today to dig into to all things Princess. So we're going to go back in time and we're going to figure out how you got here, where you are, and what it's looked like and how it's sort of changed your life over the years. So maybe for anybody who's not familiar, can you take us back to, well, first let's just start with who is Princess? And what do things look like today? And then we're going to go back in time.
Okay. Well, I'm a 30-something-year-old mom of a college-age kid. I've been practicing some form of non-monogamy for maybe 14 years now. Let's see. Let's get into that then, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. Well,
Sure.
when 14 years ago, when it came up, what did it look like at that point? And had it been in your worldview at all before that?
Not really like non-monogamy. I mean, I've always been bisexual or like girls. So that's actually how it came about. I was married at the time and my husband, he had suggested kind of a situation where I could go and do anything with women that I wanted to, so I could explore that side of myself. So that's how it started. It started kind of well, I was able to go out and do things with women. It wasn't necessarily doing things with him and women. I could just do whatever. And then it kind of transitioned to threesomes and then swinging. And then poly was how we ended up. But when we first started, after we had maybe had a couple threesomes, I actually worked at a fully nude couples only swingers resort.
But hold on. We talked about this last episode, but I'm just curious, were you working there before you got into swinging, or was it hey, we're going to check out this swinging thing? I guess the next step is I get a job at a resort.
So actually, we had some friends and we never did end up like hooking up with them, but like that was the plan originally, like was to do like a swap. And then they had told us they went to this place where they're like, yeah, you could have sex anywhere on the property. Like just people are just having sex everywhere, right? And I was like, that sounds a little crazy, but okay, sure, whatever. Like, and then a couple, maybe like a year or so later, I was actually looking for a job and I was looking on Craigslist, right? So this seems like real sketch already.
We've all been here. We've all been here. I don't know judgment.
So I was like, okay. So I was like looking through the job listings, and it was basically listed as office work. So it was like, making reservations, taking phone calls, checking guests in. Except it said it was a nude resort, and that you were required to be naked as part of the job.
Yeah, that's an interesting job requirement.
Yeah, I thought it was fake.
That's fair. I mean, it is on Craigslist, so
Right. I was like, but it seemed to pay pretty good. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like send my resume and see what happens. And they called me, and this place was really interesting. So for the interview, you you went to hang out basically. So like they would invite you to come and they would give you margaritas. Like, and then
during the interview.
Yeah. Like, they would give you margaritas and then they would just say, okay, like go hang out and then we'll come find you later to like do the actual interview type questions. Yeah. And the day that I went was like a like Memorial Day weekend or something. So it was like busy. Like they were having an event. There's probably like over 100 people there for sure. So it was like, you gotta imagine like you walk into a place and like there's like 100 naked people. Like, and some of them are having sex with each other. Like, and then they just act like it's not like, let me show you around. Like they give you tours. This is part of the thing when you go there anyways. Like they give you a tour around and then they like kind of set you free. And I was like, this is interesting. And I was alone. Like, so I was just kind of sitting there alone, like watching, like people watching basically. And I remember there was this couple there was like two couples in front of me. And one was like this guy and this girl. And he's just like, the guy's just like doing his girl from behind, right? Like, and then the other lady, she comes up to him and she's like, hey, can you put some block on my back? And he's like, yeah. And he's like doing it as he's like still fucking his girlfriend. Like,
for anybody not able to see this, your pantomime was perfect. Yeah. It was spot on. Yeah.
So yeah, so that actually like working there is how I was like, oh, maybe swinging would be fun. I'm like,
amazing.
Yeah. You had a little bit of an introduction with non-monogamy, the conversations and things with your husband at the time, but then like this was really like eye-opening of, hey, this is what people are doing. So
right, like it's an interesting place to work too. You see, I have so many stories.
Yeah,
I imagine. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm curious for you, Princess. There's a definite shift, at least from where I'm sitting. There's a difference between, hey, I'm interested in non-monogamy because I'm really wanting to explore bisexuality. That's very different than we're going to go out and meet couples and have experiences together. And I'm curious for you what that shift was like to go from, well, this was a part of me exploring this part of me that I don't normally get to now it's a little more directed towards us having these couple experiences.
I think it's probably like it was the threesome situations. Like I liked that. And I mean, that was when obviously I got to explore my bisexuality being with a woman in a threesome situation.
Yeah.
But I thought like, oh, maybe it would be fun to be like, I guess after watching people at the spa, like I was like, oh, that might be fun to do together. That seems like kind of hot or something. So, and like a lot of people who even go to the spa, they didn't have sex with other people.
Sure.
They just had sex in the same room or, just want to watch each other have sex. And I was like, that might be fun too.
Yeah, just being in the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like live porn going on all the time.
Yeah. I love it. So the job was a little bit of the gateway into swinging, it sounds like. Like it was.
Yeah. And the owners of the place, they is a couple who owns it, and they have been. I think that place at the time I started working there, I had been there like over 10 years, and they had obviously had much experience. Like they were active swingers, and so I think I talked a lot to my boss about it. It seems kind of weird. Like, it's a very weird place. Like, you're naked with your boss. It's very strange. Like, but he kind of gave me like it. It's very weird because like it's all female staff that works there, right? There's no except for the couple who owns it. Like, there's no men who work there, and we were obviously part of the appeal. Right. So like when the girls who work in the office, he was like, I want to make sure they're attractive or whatever, so that people want to come. That's part of the appeal of coming here. And it's kind of weird, like to have this like father figure who you see naked a lot, who's talking to you about sex, but it somehow doesn't seem weird. Like,
Yep. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's a lot of Okay.
it's weird. It's weird. There's no job. Like I'll never have a job like that again.
yeah.
And so you learned a lot from that
Yeah.
job. And
I did.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then I used to talk to a lot of people guests who would come and stuff, and like they would talk to us, and you'd be surprised. Most of them were like doctors and lawyers and cops. So many cops. Like,
Yeah, I think that was our experience too back when we used to go to more swinging events. It was everything from doctors to teachers, police, lawyer. Like you said, it's everybody, and so many of us have to keep it very secretive for jobs or any number of reasons that we could get discriminated against. And so I love that place, that the spaces like that exist, and you kind of got your, I don't know, you got your at least first experiences, exposure to this world through that. Like what a wild way to do it. Well, I think that's a first. I think that's a first on this show.
it was definitely very interesting. I met some people, actually the first people that we like swapped with, I actually met there. They, the rule was that we couldn't have sex with people there. That, obviously we're not a brothel. Like, but like we could obviously meet people and exchange information.
Okay.
Whatever. So
like outside of working hours, outside of the working place, you can,
Well, so how did all of the sort of your dive into swinging really go? Like, it sounds like your first one was meeting people through there, but what did the progression look like as sort of time went on?
We like did it a few times, like maybe a handful of times. Some we did a few times with that same couple, and then a couple times with other people. I feel like that was fine. Like the sex part was always fine. Like my ex there was no problems or jealousy about the sex part. Like, through doing those things, like I think I just was becoming more open with some of my friends. So I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and like I was just saying like that we had done this or whatever, and she actually she texted my husband and asked him if she could ask me out on a date. So this is when we like transitioned more to like a poly type situation.
Mm-hmm. And how did that transition go?
Yeah, that's a big shift. I mean, this whole context again, like you're in your 20s, correct? When this was happening, when you were working at the resort.
I think in my late 20s or like maybe 30.
Okay. Yeah, around that. So just for some context, and like you start working at this resort, you start kind of dabbling in swinging with your partner, and then just feeling it out and seeing how it goes, and then moving into more of a poly dynamic by this woman wanting to date you, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So how does that shift? How did that go? Because that is relatively, I mean, in some ways it can be a simple transition for a lot of people, and a lot of people a very rocky one, and because a lot of people are scared of that, right? And because it can be more threatening.
Like, so originally it was okay at first. I dated the woman, like she would come over, and like she had slept with me and my husband together. And then like I had gone over there and slept with her and her husband. So then at some point it was like we were all dating each other, like not the guys, but like I was dating both of them and she was dating both of us. And then it like blew up. Yeah, it was so terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was, I think, and it was kind of crazy because this person, I knew her for like 5 years before we dated. Like we were very close. Like her and another girl, they used to come over like once a month and we'd have like a sleepover and like just hang out. And she was not telling me a lot of personal things that were very important when it came down to us dating. like like things that happened between them, like her stories would change, like things I remembered she told me when we were friends. When I would try and ask her again about it after we started dating, like she wouldn't tell me. She actively wouldn't tell me, or she changed her stories. And it just got like she was actually a jealous person, and it wasn't necessarily jealous of me and her husband. Like she just wanted to be the center of attention. So when she wasn't, like, and there's like some crazy stories like where she would just like kind of snap at us when like we would all just be sitting there. Like, and in the end, like I broke up with her because I was like, it just was very toxic situation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and coming out of this first experience where, it seems like it was a little bit of just like a whirlwind, right? Like
Mhm.
threesomes, then we're going to swing for a little bit. Now we're dating, and then that kind of blows up. How did you either personally or as a couple put pieces back together, and what did the next sort of iteration look like for the two of you, or for you individually?
When it ended with them, me and my husband had really like wanted to focus on us. And like that was kind of like part of the blow up, I guess, in the end, because at that point in time we had really felt like, oh, it's like us over everybody, right? Like, so I would say like kind of hierarchy, but like I guess we weren't thinking of it that way. Like,
Mhm.
but very much like, oh, it's us over them. If something happens, like I cut them off and like we focus on us kind of situation. And at first it seemed okay. Like I think what I learned from being with her, that was like my first real like relationship with a woman.
Mhm.
Like I had lots of sex with women, but like even up until that point, I had kind of felt like I didn't want to have a relationship with a woman because I knew that it could be complicated, or like I just felt like I had a lot of issues with like female friends myself. So I was like, I don't know if I could like have a whole relationship with them.
Yeah.
And after being with her, though, I felt like I wanted to have a relationship with them. like there's, I guess, some things I just hadn't experienced because I hadn't actually been dating them,
Yeah.
that I was like, oh, I like doing those like cute little sweet things like with them, or like being out in public with them, or holding hands and hugging and whatever. So I think that's what I learned a lot from being with her.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So when we broke up and me and my ex like decided to focus on ourselves, I think that was right before COVID happened.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, because then when COVID happened and we weren't doing anything, like, is actually when I started talking to my current partner. Like, so I mean, well, he was already our friend, but we knew each other from Rent Fair.
Yeah.
But my current husband, he had kind of like encouraged me to go talk to him. And then when we started dating is kind of when my marriage fell apart. Because my husband wasn't okay with all the emotional aspects of it.
Your husband at the time.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So that you started dating Dee Dee, and
Mhm.
that really it didn't work for the relationship you were in with your marriage.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it wasn't, there was a lot of things that were wrong with my marriage, but it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like,
It's not that cut and dry.
it's not
No.
that it's his fault. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But it just, it shines a light. Obviously, like you say that lots of times, like when you're poly, it shines a light on all the bad things. Like, because when you're monogamous, you can ignore a lot of those things.
Mm.
And
Right.
so it was we had a lot of problems with him feeling, I guess I would say feeling jealous, but like he would never say that he was jealous. Like, but whatever insecurities he had. And then it just shined a light on all of our problems, like a lot. And I remember I was reading a lot of like books, like non-monogamy books, and like listen to a lot of podcasts, like your guys' podcasts. And like my thinking started to change, and that also became a problem. Like, so like I said before it was kind of like us over everybody else. And then at some point I was like, well, I don't think that's right. Like, I think that, that these people aren't disposable. You can't treat them like that. Like, and then I didn't want to have like any kind of hierarchy, and I didn't want to use certain words with him anymore. And like, he was not okay with this. I'm like,
yeah, it's like you're really learning more about yourself and then recognizing what works and doesn't work in the relationships you're in. It puts a spotlight
yeah,
on a lot of things, like you said.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, this is something that Emma and I also have experienced of,
Mm-hmm.
during our times when we were more in the swinging world. Yeah, it felt easier at that point to sort of, you kind of put the relationship, our relationship up a little bit on a pedestal. And, we didn't have as close of friendships or relationships with the people that we would meet. They were a little more distant, and there seemed to be like a mutual understanding there a lot of the time of, hey, we're gonna, everybody kind of seemed to be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were times, right, where things would, progress, or you'd see people more and more. And then it started to become a little blurrier, and it was harder to be like, oh, well, they're not just people from the internet. They're people.
They're friends, or
They're friends, right? And and so then it's more like, okay, well, can we still have elements of this? Can we still do this, but with a bit more care? Sometimes on the swinging path, right? It's the expectation is this is what we're doing. And, sometimes people catch feelings. And that,
right.
I think, is just a reality of this type of relating to people. And then you're kind of, as we often say, like in the car driving down the highway, having to fix the car as it's driving down the highway, because there's not really you can't just kick people off to the side to
Right.
go fix your relationship.
Yeah.
But you do need to work on your relationship. And so how do you work on the relationship and treat other people with the kindness and care and respect that they deserve, while perhaps your own life is sort of like on fire? Like it's a lot
Right.
to do all at once.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it was.
Yeah.
And throw COVID in there. Just
Yeah, right?
Just throw that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you go from here?
Well, like, yeah. So, I mean, it just progressively kind of got worse, I guess, between me and my husband. We had it was kind of a lot of talks like that. Like, me and Dee Dee had been dating like over a year. We were like already telling each other, I love you. And he tried to give me, my husband tried to give me an ultimatum about not seeing him so that we could work on us. And like at this point, like my thinking has already changed, and I was like, that's not fair. Like, I wouldn't say that to you. Like, how do you think that makes the other person feel? They're not important, or you don't care about them, or whatever. So I made like a compromise. Like, I said I won't see him physically for like a little bit, but then like my husband did it. He kind of didn't give me he wasn't like, okay, like, oh, 5 months or 6 months or whatever. He was like, I don't know, however long it takes. I don't know how long it's going to be. Like, so that became a problem, And then we ended up seeing each other again because fair came around, and I was like, I'm going to go to fair and he's going to be there. So then we tried to work on it. We tried to do therapy, and he just, I feel personally like he was more of a swinger than Polly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was
your previous husband.
Yeah. Like, he was all good for the sex part, but he like wasn't about the feelings part.
Right. Which I just want to say, right? No shade to that, right?
Yeah,
And that's
no,
a
that's
thing
perfectly okay.
totally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why like when I'll often say, the swingers who catch feelings and I like if where you're at and what you're hoping for is just to have the sex and do that without the other stuff coming in. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's just maybe encouraging
It's
people
communicating about it.
communicating it, but also encouraging people to just think about what might happen if you do at some point find yourself having feelings, because I think this is a place where you can be surprised. And so rather than being surprised, to at least know that, hey, there's a chance that if we have sex with these people, over and over and over again, somebody might start to have a crush or fall in love. Like that is a possibility.
Right.
Even if you're not having sex, if you're hanging out with people having deep, intimate conversations or vulnerable shares, stuff happens. And I think just acknowledging that and being aware that it could happen is really, to me, just a good place to start.
Right.
Not that,
And being honest with yourself. Like, I feel like if, I think one big thing for me was like, I felt like I would ask him questions and I would tell him, like, it's okay to not feel how I feel or, to not think how I think. Like, I can compromise with you, but like, you have to be honest with me about how you actually
yeah,
are feeling or thinking. Cause telling me, like, I'm okay being poly, but obviously you've got some things that you're not okay with. Like,
yeah,
it's hard when you're not being honest. So,
totally. Well, and I mean, just to say too, right? There's so many of these things that I think we don't even know ourselves. Like we're in many times maybe not even being dishonest with ourselves, but we just don't know, right? Like, oh, I think I could do that. And then you start down it and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. But what am I going to say, right?
Yeah.
I'm already in, what is my option? My option is say, no, I can't do this and maybe lose somebody I love in my life. So it can be a really scary place to be when
Yeah.
you start to learn about yourself and what your capacities and capabilities really are.
yeah. No.
Well, it's because it's easy to push yourself outside of them
Totally.
and try different. Like I think it's important to try different things, but also recognize where you're pushed outside of your own capacity. That's not a healthy place
Right.
to be.
Like, you can push yourself, but know
Yeah.
the limit.
Exactly. Because then you get overextended and burnt out, and things aren't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like for you, Princess, in this journey, you were reading the books, doing all the things, and it seems like this was sort of you were finding maybe your sweet spot. And I'm curious what that was like for you and what you were sort of learning about yourself as you're reading the books, going on dates, deepening your connection with Dee Dee. Like what's going on for you as a human, your personal self?
I think that when I was doing all the research and stuff, that I think it was like freeing. like, I feel like I've never been the kind of person who wants to do the normal thing or be kept inside the box. But I had always been like super monogamous. So I think it was nice to feel that there was some kind of alternative to where you didn't have to say no to possible connections in the future. I think that's what I liked, because not that I was looking, like, I'm not like, okay, I'm not out there actively, oh, there's someone better. But, like when you're with if you're monogamous and you're with somebody and then you meet somebody out in the world and they're like really cool and awesome and you're like, oh, I'd love to get to know them better. But you're like, that's not really what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like initially it was a little more just about the openness to possibility and
Mhm.
rather than I need to go find these to check off my list. It was just
Right.
like what's
Yeah.
possible.
It's also like kind of take some of the pressure off of it,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not trying to check, you don't have to check everything off of your list. You can be like, oh, I like this person for these reasons, and that's okay if they don't fulfill all those things, because I'm not trying to marry them or whatever, and I could still go meet other people who check off some different boxes.
Yeah. I think the other thing that can happen too in there is you meet somebody and a whole new list comes into your worldview that maybe this person brings, because you're not trying to be like, well, I'm looking for the person to do this specific activity, but you meet somebody and they're like, hey, look at the menu that I'm bringing to the table.
Right. That's true. You meet a lot of different people that maybe you wouldn't have been open to before because you were trying to fit this narrow box that you have.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe along those lines, I'm curious, what are some of the things that, ways you either saw yourself kind of grow or just change over this time, or things that you like discovered that you really love, or maybe even some that you're like, I think I'm going to like that, and turns out I don't.
Big question.
Like 5 questions in one.
Okay, let me try to remember all this.
That's all right. I'm here if you need a reminder.
I think that I changed a lot in like the way I viewed relationships in general. Like I said, I was very like monogamous. Like I am always like, I don't, I dated people a lot. I've been dating people like my whole life, but like I was like, I'm going to date you for like 2 years. I wasn't like, oh, we dated for a little bit. Like, no, I'm going to date you for like 2 years and then I'm going to date the next person for 3 years. And like, that's like the kind of person I was. And I think that it made me see that you can have different type of connections that don't necessarily all have to be that way. I mean, I'm sure like all the terminology, like you could have like comment partners or something, people you don't see very often, or maybe people you only do certain things with or something. So I think that was kind of new for me because I had been so set on like this like monogamous, like love, like forever kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think too that it helped me, and I'm still working on this, but I think it helped me a lot with like any jealousy issues that I had myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, like, it's always hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like maybe there were some, or still are some.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't say it's like necessarily jealousy, but I do sometimes feel like, I think it has a lot to do with more, obviously jealousy has to do with yourself anyways. So like, I don't feel like anger or something towards the other person, but I'll just feel a lot of like self-doubt or something if I felt that way.
Yeah. And I want to just take a moment and normalize that jealousy is a normal human emotion. Like, and it happens, and some people struggle with it more than others, or it comes up for some people more than others, but it's not something that you should just like strive to never feel, because it's a normal human emotion.
Yeah.
It's how you navigate it and what you do with that jealousy, how you communicate it, how you care for yourself in that. And yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, that's a thing that you're still sort of figuring out. And I think, I mean, +1 to that, we're both of us over here, +2 to that, we're both over here figuring it out too. And so I'm grateful for that. And
you also asked.
Yeah, things that maybe your world, as your world started to open up and everything, what are some other things that you discovered that maybe were missing, maybe in some way, shape, or form, that are like, oh, I wish I'd found this sooner?
I really like when we were doing like when we transitioned to like poly, I actually found that I really like the dynamic of being with a couple, just like even emotionally being with them. Like I feel like that's a really different energy than just being with one person, if it's going good. Because when it's bad, it's terrible.
The highs are high, the lows are low. Well, I'm curious, how in navigating that, how did you sort of find, or what did you find that was like, how did you move through the world of dating couples, perhaps?
Trial and error.
Pretty much. I mean, I guess if you're talking to them, part of it has to be like how strong you think or healthy you think their relationship is with each other.
Yeah. You have to get to know both of them and know and understand and gauge that for sure.
Yeah, because that's it can impact you a lot. I think too, I guess, just communication. I learned a lot of communication, obviously. And so that was interesting. I guess like when like I said, when it's going good and like you're all talking and like you're all being open with each other and like it's just a different kind of energy than being with one person. And I don't know, I guess it just feels like more love, you know?
Yeah, I think that I'm excited that you, I don't know, have tried or have embraced that part of yourself too. It sounds like it has been fulfilling in a lot of ways to explore being with couples and what that dynamic looks like.
It can be. It can be. I mean, it's actually recently, so if we gotta like jump to the present.
That was where I was going next. Where are you today?
Like, so I was dating, at first I was dating this guy. We started dating last summer. He had a girlfriend who I was friends with both of them. And after I was dating him for a few months, she actually told me that she wanted to go out with me, but she's like, this is completely separate, like from him. Like, and I was like, okay, cool. Now, when I started dating them, I was already breaking like all like multiple rules I had set for myself. I was like, oh, I don't want to date new poly people. You know, I don't want to date couples. I already had a big thing about dating musicians and all three right there. Like,
I don't want to do any of these, but I'll do them all at the same time.
I'm going to do them all at the same time. They'll cancel each other out.
It's either all or nothing. All or nothing.
Go big, yeah.
Yeah.
So how has that gone? Okay.
There's a
makes
reason that those rules were in place, apparently.
There is a reason those rules were in place. And I didn't listen to myself.
Yeah.
Actually just stopped seeing the guy like a few weeks ago. But the girl though, I still see so. Which is its own complication. Like, I mean, it's just its own weird situation, I guess. You know, like she now like I don't know, it's weird because she's actually very supportive of like of why I broke up with him. And so I've gotten it's weird to get support from somebody who's with somebody else, like that you're with like that. But that's been really good, I guess, because I feel like she understands better. But, you know, at first it was like, I didn't know what would happen because when I broke up with that girl that I dated when I was married previously, or that couple, it was like, I didn't get a choice about breaking up with the guy. It was like a package deal. Like it was either us or nothing. Like,
Right.
so this being like that they can separate it is nice, especially like I said, they're new to poly. So like I feel like that in itself is a big step that they can do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's actually a really big step.
That's some next level stuff there to be able to say, hey, yeah, I'm going to stay with this person. I support, and right now she's kind of having to support him and you on opposite sides of a breakup while maintaining relationships with him and you. Like, yeah, that's not an easy dance to dance.
she's pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else does your constellation look like today?
Well, I think so. In the last few years, I've done a lot of solo dating, which I didn't do when I was with my husband. I didn't do a lot of solo dating. I felt like he really tried to maneuver his way into anything. and I think that like, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you've like heard it lots of times. Like a lot of times that's kind of almost how it seems like the one partner is bringing up an open relationship for ways that will benefit themselves instead of the couple as a whole. So I felt like there was a lot of that going on. Like he was just trying to have sex with more girls or whatever, you know, and using me as like the gateway to that. Like, so I did a lot of solo dating actually when me and Dee Dee started living together. He's been like really great about never trying to manifest like threesomes or anything from people that we know or any situations that we're in, you know. He's like, if anything happens, it's like natural and nothing is like he's trying to make me do anything. So I did a lot of solo dating. I dated a lot of women, actually. I kind of refused to date men. After I split up with my ex-husband, I was like, no, I think I'm just gonna like date women for a while. So I feel like I've got a lot more practice on that. It's helped me because I was really like, I'm sure you hear like a lot of, girls by girls who are like, I can't talk to women and I
Hmm.
can't flirt
Oh
with
yeah.
women or anything.
Like it's a different skill set.
Yeah, right? Like girls flirting is like, you're pretty. You're pretty too. Cool. Like,
So it sounds like you've been leveling up, so to speak, your dating, interacting, flirting, talking to other women.
yeah, yeah. Like I feel like
How's it been going?
I mean it's been going pretty good, I think. Like like I feel like I am more confident in it. Like and even if it doesn't turn into anything like serious, like I think I've gone on a lot of dates and like made friends and like, we've had sex or whatever and it's been fun. And I feel like that's a valuable experience. I feel like too, so for me personally, I have a lot of trouble setting boundaries. Like that was a big thing in my past, right? 'Cause I have like the husband that I was talking about, he was my second husband. And my first husband was my daughter's dad. And he was like crazy and abusive. So I had like a lot of issues with setting boundaries and like sticking up for myself. And I feel like I've got a lot of practice in doing that dating solo. Like not even like necessarily physical boundaries, but like setting boundaries just as like expectations of things
Mhm.
that I want or that I need. Like recently, like when I started dating again, obviously STD testing was a big deal. So like that was always like, well, when were you tested last? Or, let's exchange results and stuff. Like I feel like setting personal boundaries about like my own safety is a big deal because I feel like in my past, and I'm sure like just like as a woman, it's hard to always enforce those things. So a lot of people are like, especially, no offense, a lot of men are very pushy.
Mhm.
No
Yes.
offense taken. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Those are such important skills to learn and like to be able to I don't know. It sounds like, you went through your first marriage, which sounds like it was not good at all. And then your second marriage, which was experience. And like that's where you started opening up non-monogamy, realized that you kind of like were on two different pages with what type of non-monogamy
Hmm.
worked for you and ended that relationship. And then we're able to dive into a lot of this solo dating and really practicing those skills and learning more about what your needs and wants are and then communicating those. And that's so powerful to like get that practice.
Yeah. It's been so like my therapist calls it like a corrective experience.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
so it's been really good for me. Like, I think too, like a lot that I was talking about like the jealousy thing and like trying to deal with like my own insecurities and stuff. I think that in our like currently like solo dating, because Dee solo dates, I think that it's really uh I don't want to say forced, like encouraged. Like
Mhm.
it's encouraged me to like work through that more because like especially like he always was dating people. Like he had other girlfriends when we first got together and he was married. So like it's I've never felt really like he was like only mine or something like that. I didn't have that experience. But I think for people who came after me, it was like I had to adjust to it a little bit, especially like we didn't really date people for a little bit when we first moved in together. And then so when he like started actively dating other people, it was kind of hard for me at first. Like,
Mhm.
because I just was like, I didn't know what to do. And then like I still have like some trouble, but I think like
This was
it
Dee Dee, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said,
Mhm.
like he's really like I mean, he's really supportive and like we communicate everything and like that's also something I think that I've gotten much better at is communicating any kind of feelings to my partner. Like, but I mean, it also depends on who you're with. Like, so someone who's receptive to it and it's not gonna, make it a big, like, negative thing is gonna be much better. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
always good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it takes two people to have a conversation, right? And you have to be in that dynamic together and be able to when you it, when you can really meet somebody in the conversation, in the communication, it's such a difference rather than when you can't. And it sounds like with Dee Dee, you've had a lot of that experience of being able to talk about things and meet each other and have those corrective experiences, both with him and with other people you're dating. And it sounds like today you're more in a I don't know, like labels are labels, but are hard, but like kind of in a more of a solo dating experience, but like have a several year partnership with Dee Dee and have other people around you. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. So, like, I mean, he's obviously like my nesting partner and
Yeah.
like my anchor partner. And then, like, we kind of just do our own thing. Like, I mean, obviously, these people that I recently dated, the couple, they were our friends. So they were a little more intertwined with us in like things that we did. We saw them a lot um, outside of dating. But yeah, for the most part, like, I kind of feel like most of our stuff is separate. Not because it has to be. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, like his current girlfriend, I see her, like, we hang out sometimes. Like, we've hung out a few times, us, and then like we've hung out as a group and stuff. And so it's fine. She's very sweet. I like her very much. But like recently, like I said, I broke up with the guy I was dating, and we had a standing date we had a standing date during the week. And because we had a standing date, so Dee Dee and his girlfriend had a standing date on the same day. And recently that I haven't been having that date, like, it was like, I think the first two like Thursdays were hard. Like, I felt like, I think it was confusing because I didn't feel like super bad. I wasn't like, oh, I wish she would stay with me and not go see her. Like, I just didn't really know how to feel. I think it's kind of like, maybe it's a little bit of FOMO. Like, I wish I had something to do. Like, I feel uh, like I've grown a lot to not feel jealous or not feel angry or like to be okay being alone. And actually, that's kind of like what I'm trying to work on, I guess, is to be okay to be alone. Because I mean, I figure like we're going to be poly and there's going to be times where I'm going to be alone. There's times that he's going to be alone or whatever. And I think that that's hard for a lot of people. Like, I'm sure, you see a lot of things, or you've heard a lot of people like talk about when their partners are on dates with other people, it's really hard for them to be alone and they try to find things to do to keep busy and stuff. And like, that's good. I do the same thing. But I think I want to work on not having to feel like I need to stay busy, like that I'm just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's its own skill set in and of itself, right? Like I think it's easy to fill up our calendars and go, 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 go oftentimes, and then recognize like, oh, I like it's okay to not have anything to do. What do I do with what am I interested in doing then? You can find something for yourself to do, whether it's even if it's not a date, and date yourself. Do something for
Right,
yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's too. I think that a lot of times when people are poly or non-monogamous, like, they do get wrapped up in like that feeling of like they need to be dating people,
Mhm.
like, or otherwise like they're invalid somehow. like
Mhm.
like I need to be dating people, or I need to be looking for people or whatever. But I think that there's not enough about like, yeah, trying to just be okay, like, working on yourself, or like trying to be like, it doesn't, like you said, we just don't have to be always going, going, going.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah. We don't have to.
Yeah. I'm curious, Princess, for you and Dee Dee, you talked a little bit about your dynamic on the last episode.
Mhm.
mhm.
And how, or maybe just to fill anybody in, like briefly, you also have a sort of a kink or power exchange dynamic as part of your partnership as well, right?
Correct.
Right. And I'm curious, how does that work with the separate dating? right? Because it sounds like you made it very clear, and Dee Dee made it very clear previously on the other episode, like, he doesn't want to impact how you date. He doesn't want to inject himself into three sides. Like all of that, it seems like very much you do it your way and for you. But I'm curious, how do you weave in the dom dynamic with that?
Well, I mean, like, obviously, I have certain things that I have to do, like tasks I have to do that
Mhm.
really just have to do with me, like,
Sure.
drink my water, do whatever I have to do. So I feel like as long as I am respecting those things, whether I'm out or not, like that's important to remember to do those things. And as far as like him being my dom, I think like if it and like I've encountered it a little bit, like guys especially like they are like, oh, I'm a dom, I'm looking to do this or whatever,
Mhm.
and like I'm okay with it, and he's okay with it. Like if we're doing stuff in the bedroom, like
Mhm.
that's fine, that's whatever, it's fun. But like, and I've told people before, like I'm not looking to have another dom,
Yeah.
like that's not what I want. So I think just being like clear and communicating that in the BDSM scene itself, like I don't think that's as much of an issue. Like if they're a little bit more educated in that area, then they kind of understand that like I'm his collared submissive and that's not even something they're going to like ask me about, you know?
Mhm.
And I think it's just mostly a communication thing as far as like with the other person. Um and then just being honest and communicating with Dee Dee in general, like about what I'm doing or how I'm feeling, or not not like where he needs to know every detail of my life,
Mhm.
but not like hiding things from him. So like if something was going on, like and I felt like somebody wasn't treating me right or something, like, instead of just keeping it to myself or something, like, telling him and, like, talking with him about it, and, like, he's not going to tell me what to do in that regard, like, when it comes to my other relationships, but he's going to give me advice and maybe tell me, like, "Well, like, you I don't know, like, you deserve better, or like, like, you should be treated better, like, that's okay, like, maybe you should have a conversation with them or something, like, he's not gonna step in unless, like, that was I don't know, like, if somebody was hurting me or, like, I obviously am, like, stuck in a toxic cycle that I can't
Sure.
break away from.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like for the most part, it's very much no different than I think. Oh, well, like, for instance, if Emma and I were out dating, right, we would be there for each other to listen, support, but it's not like we're being like, okay, you need to dump this person, or you can't go out on a date with that person, or I don't like this person. And I think I had a feeling, and I kind of knew that was not really how you were approaching it, but I think it was really great to hear how you do approach it, right? That it's not, hey, Dee Dee's my dom, and so let me go ask him if I can go out on a date with you, right? Like you are still very much an autonomous human who gets to make your own decisions and do your own things, but you also have elements that you weave in from your dynamic with him.
right, and that it's not that way with everybody because I have had friends that are very much like, "You need to talk to him first and ask
Yeah,
him if I can do things." I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, whatever,
Everybody
teach you their
their own way.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. No, I think that's, and I just like I imagine, like, as you were talking, I had this like little movie reel playing in my head of like, you're out on a date with somebody, and all of a sudden you're like doing 20 push-ups, and he's, what the hell is going on? And you're like, oh, no, 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 this is a thing. Like that's maybe a thing you say before the date. Like, hey, it's 7:05 every
I
night.
need to do 20 push-ups.
I have to do 20 push-ups. So you're gonna see me at 7:05, no matter what we're doing, I'm gonna stop and do 20 push-ups. So yeah, I think
I
those are
mean,
the
I have an alarm that goes off at 8:45 to take medication, and so that's a thing, and, like, I remember the guy I was dating, he was like, "Oh, it's time to take your meds," or, like, it would go off and he'd be like, "Take your meds."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those reminders are oh so helpful too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
yeah.
I'm really glad we got to talk to you again today and to hear more about your story and how you got to be where you are here today. And 18 months or so after the last time we talked. And so it's been great to chat. And I'm curious if there's anything else you wanted to share today that we didn't ask about before we let you go.
I think I just want to say that, especially because recently I've dealt with more new people to poly, that I think it's hard for some people when they're new, that they struggle a lot with the transition from monogamy to non-monogamy and like letting go of a lot of those monogamous mindsets. But it's possible. like I know you might think that it's not possible, but like I encourage people to like read and listen to podcasts, because I think that's what really helped me, was hearing other people say things that I related to be like, oh, I felt that way too. Or, like I felt that way in the beginning and look where they are now. Like they don't, it's different for them, or they've progressed, or they don't have those same hangups anymore. And that it's okay to not be okay. like you said, like jealousy is completely normal. It's just what you do with it. And I think too, like, because like I said, I struggle myself a little bit, and I don't know that I'll ever feel compersion, right? But I can still be happy for him, and I can still like who he's with and like enjoy them being together, even if I don't feel by definition what is compersion. I think that a lot of people try and strive for these things and feel like they're failing when they don't achieve them.
Yeah.
And like, that's not true.
Like, yeah. I love that you said that too. It's not true. Yeah. We're all human.
Right. We all have feelings. It's okay to have feelings.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay to have feelings. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Thank you so much, Princess. I really loved this conversation, and that we got to catch back up with you and hear a little more from your side. So thank you for reaching out and making it happen. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, and we're excited for the next time.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we're back. I almost forgot that the last time we tried this.
Yeah, but nobody knew that we had to start over.
Thank you so much, Princess, for coming on and sharing everything you did. A second time on the podcast. It was lovely to talk with you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, a total blast. Cannot wait till the next time we get to chat. Thank you again from my side.
A couple of quick reminders of upcoming events. First up, this week, we have in-person speed friending, May 15th, 2025 in Berkeley, California, if you happen to be local. We also have a virtual speed friending event coming up Friday, May 16th. You can join from anywhere. Links to sign up for both of those are on our website under the events tab. We're also going to be attending the Bonobo Retreat in Northern California, May 23rd to the 26th, and the Soul Play Festival, June 12th to the 15th, also in Northern California. You can find out, again, more information over in the podcast show notes.
And next week, we've got a fantastic conversation with Megan and Brett. They were both on the podcast back on episode 337, and they're back to give us a bit of an update, and we have a great time chatting with them.
I think that's all.
That's all we got.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.